We're going to dig into something fascinating today, the hidden code that's running behind the scenes of all your financial decisions. Because let's be honest, it's not always about logic and spreadsheets, is it? More often than not, it's about these invisible scripts, these mental glitches that are quietly shaping your financial life.
And that really brings us to the million-dollar question we're tackling here. Why do smart people, I'm talking people like you, people like me, so often make completely irrational decisions with money? Well, it turns out our brains come with a few, let's call them bugs in the system. And just understanding these little cognitive glitches is the absolute first step to making way better choices.
All right, first up, we're diving into a whole category of biases that lead to doing nothing at all. We're calling it paralysis. This is that classic situation where having too many options, too much information, just causes our brains to freeze up. We get stuck.
And the prime example of this is something I'm sure you felt: analysis paralysis. You know that feeling, right? You're so buried in data, comparing every single option, that you just get stuck researching forever. You never actually pull the trigger on a decision. You're literally paralyzed by all the information.
This right here is a perfect real-world example. I mean, think about it. This isn't really about being diligent. It's being a deer in the headlights. That client isn't truly doing research. They're just using all that data as an excuse to procrastinate, because deep down, they're just terrified of making the wrong move with that money. Okay, another one of these mental traps is the diversification error. When our brain sees, say, a dozen different investment choices, it starts looking for an escape hatch, an easy way out. And what's the simplest shortcut? Just spread the money evenly across all of them. Like you're spreading peanut butter on a piece of toast. It feels safe and simple, but it's hardly ever the best strategy.
And here's what that peanut buttering looks like in your 401k. That person isn't making a sophisticated choice. Their brain has just defaulted to the easy answer: give every fund an equal slice of the pie. It's a way to avoid the hard mental work of actually deciding what's best.
So if that first part was all about the danger of doing nothing, this next one is the total opposite. It's about the danger of doing the wrong thing, all because our decisions are being fueled by a sense of overconfidence, this powerful but false idea that we're totally in control. And at the core of this section is the overconfidence bias. And come on, we've all been guilty of this one. It's that tendency to just believe we know more than we really do. We think we're amazing at predicting what's going to happen next, even when our track record says, not so much.
And this is where that overconfidence can be absolutely catastrophic. This employee thinks they have a secret edge, right? An insider view. So they throw the #1 rule of investing, diversification, right out the window. They're forgetting that huge things, like the entire economy, are just completely out of their hands.
So how does our brain keep this little bubble of overconfidence intact? Well, it uses something called the self-attribution bias. It's a clever little two-step dance. When our investments do well, we tell ourselves, see, I'm a genius. But when they tank, oh, well, that was just bad luck, or the market being crazy. It's a way to always take the credit and dodge the blame, and it keeps our ego feeling great.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk about our third category: information processing. Now, these biases aren't really about feeling frozen or overconfident. They're about the mental shortcuts our brain uses every single day just to get by. But here's the thing: faster doesn't always mean better.
One of the most powerful shortcuts out there is called anchoring. Whatever the very first piece of information we hear is, a price, a statistic, it becomes a mental anchor. And once that anchor is dropped, it is incredibly hard for our brains to sail too far away from that initial number.
I mean, this is such a perfect everyday example, right? That neighbor's sale price from 4 years ago, that is the anchor. It doesn't matter that the market is totally different now. In the client's mind, that $900,000 number is stuck, and every new piece of information is judged against it.
So what happens when our actions don't line up with what we say we believe? Well, that's cognitive dissonance. It's that uncomfortable, kind of squirmy feeling you get when you hold two conflicting ideas in your head. Like, I need to save for retirement, but also, wow, I just signed the lease on this brand new car. Your brain can't stand that tension, so it starts working overtime to invent reasons why the car was actually a really smart purchase, just to make itself feel better.
And listen, it's so important to get this. This isn't just some pop psychology stuff. We're talking about Nobel Prize-winning research here. Pioneers like Richard Thaler and Daniel Kahneman have literally proven that these predictable glitches in our thinking have a huge, measurable impact on our financial lives. This is serious science.
Okay, this brings us to our final and honestly probably the most powerful category of all: emotion. This is where our biases are tangled up with deep, personal connections. And in this arena, logic often doesn't stand a chance against pure feeling.
So let's start with maybe the most fundamental emotional bias of all, loss aversion. The idea is simple, but it is so profound. The pain of losing something hurts way, way more than the pleasure of gaining that exact same thing feels good. Our brains are fundamentally hardwired to avoid loss at all costs, and that programming has a massive effect on the financial risks we're willing to take.
And it's not just some vague feeling either. They've actually measured it. Study after study shows that the psychological sting of losing, say, $100 is about twice as powerful as the joy you feel from gaining $100. That simple 2x factor explains so much about why people can be so fearful or conservative with their money.
Next up, we have the endowment bias. This is the simple idea that the moment we own something, its value magically increases in our minds. That old mug in your cabinet isn't just a mug anymore, it's your mug. And that sense of ownership inflates its worth way beyond what anyone else would pay for it.
And here's where you can really see how these biases stack on top of each other. That stock isn't just a financial asset, it's a memory, a connection to a loved one. The emotional attachment from the endowment bias completely short-circuits the logical financial decision to diversify. It's a powerful feeling that keeps them locked into a risky position. So, after going through all of these mental glitches, what's the big takeaway? Look, it's not about trying to fix your brain or turn yourself into some kind of perfectly rational robot. That's just not going to happen. The single most powerful thing you can do is just become aware of these patterns. Simply recognizing them in your own thinking is your absolute greatest financial asset.
And that really brings us right back to you. We've just walked through the hidden code of the financial mind, from being frozen by choice to the dangers of being too confident and the incredible power of emotion. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know the code, which of these financial biases do you see in yourself?